if you're next to somebody that you don't want hearing what we're going to be talking about, now is your chance to, I guess, move to a better location. We're going to be talking about something that's very controversial, very deep. This has to do with an actor that you might already know, and this actor plays the Donut Lord in Sonic Movie 1, 2, and upcoming Sonic 3. Welcome everybody to the second episode of the Hogcast, and today we are going to touch on something that is very controversial. If you didn't already see the warning sign in the beginning of the video, fair warning, this is your final chance to click off of the video, because again, we are going to be talking about a very controversial topic, and as you may already know, I just want to get right into it without any further ado. Again, it's going to be super controversial. If you're not comfortable listening to things about, well, we're not going to say the word, however, we're going to refer to it as sexual assault. But just by me saying that already, if you're not comfortable with that, this is your chance now to click off of the video. But of course, we're just gonna yap for a couple more, for I guess another 60 seconds, just to weed out the people who should not be hearing what we're going to be talking about, or if you're, I guess, next to somebody that and I got a low battery on my camera as always, but if you're next to somebody that you don't want hearing what we're going to be talking about, now is your chance to, I guess, move to a better location. So today we're going to be talking about something that's very, I guess, controversial, very deep, a lot of different opinions and stuff like that, but this is something that's been going on for a while. And funny thing, I called it out when it first happened. However, people started talking about it, having conversations about it, but they kind of just gave up on that and forgot about it. They completely forgot about it. However, this has to do with an actor that you might already know, and this actor plays the Donut Lord in Sonic Movie 1, 2, and upcoming Sonic 3. The Donut Lord, his real name is James Marsden. He is a, I guess, very famous or well-known actor. I do know he played Cyclops and stuff like that. I'm not really too sure what else he played in or was known famously for playing in. However, he's a really big actor, and that's partially why, actually most of the reason why they included him in the Sonic movies, because that is a very famous actor, and a lot of parents know who that is, so right away the parents are going to hop on that essentially and take their kids to watch Sonic movies. But of course, there's been allegations floating around against this actor as well as several different actors, because these actors. So actually, let's back up a little bit. So today we're gonna primarily be talking about a docu-series that came out in 2023 last year, Quiet on Set. So Quiet on Set, mainly if you've seen Quiet on Set, then you already know what we're gonna be talking about. But if you have not, don't worry, I'll try and keep everybody in the loop with what's going on, so you basically can learn what's going on in today's podcast, and you don't have to look up any information or watch Quiet on Set, even though you can, because all of this information is all over Google. You can literally watch like some YouTuber who did a Quiet on Set recap or summary, and if you want to really know what Quiet on Set was about. But essentially, Quiet on Set was about the set being quiet, essentially. Pretty self-explanatory. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, Quiet on Set basically was about childhood actors ever since the 90s with the show All That, which was a very popular TV show on Nickelodeon. And that was the start of Dan Schneider and his TV shows, essentially. And he's the one that produced those TV shows. And he did things later on like Drake and Josh and iCarly, stuff like that. But Dan Schneider essentially was a really, he was a big perv. And let me fix my background real quick. Alright, that's better. Yeah, that's better. Alright, so Dan Schneider was he was a perv. He like had a really big thing with children's feet, stuff like that. I don't want to. Again, it's really weird talking about it, so I don't want to get too deep into the whole Quiet on Set thing. However, he sided essentially with this person named Brian Peck, and Brian Peck, he was accused of sexually assaulting Drake Bell when he was 15 years old. So essentially, Brian Peck sexually assaulted multiple times 15-year-old Drake Bell. And a lot of people argue that Drake Bell, isn't he like a child endangerment or something? Yeah, that might be true. However, Brian Peck, so we're just explaining everything before we get into the meat in today's podcast. So Brian Peck, he was a experienced predator ever since the 90s, and there has been so many cases of Brian Peck assaulting minors and things like that were swept under the rug because Brian Peck had he had like power basically, and anything he did was covered up. The only reason why Drake Bell's case was really public and everybody knew about it, and even then nobody knew it was Drake Bell, right? It was a John Doe case. And if you don't know what a John Doe case is, basically it's when they cover up a victim's name so it doesn't become public. And even though Drake Bell, I'm pretty sure he could have been public about it then, but I have a feeling if he did that back then, Dan Schneider would have fired him and whatnot. But anyway, it is currently 2024. As you know, things like that just do not fly at all. And we're gonna the proper people in this situation are gonna be attacked. And still, as we speak, they're being attacked. If you go on their comments, you're going to see just a nightmare. As you know, what canceling people is, essentially, that's what's going on in the comments of these said people's Instagram, unless they deleted their Instagram, because it has happened. There was an actor who was really bad, and she got canceled. Her name is Kimmy Robertson. And yeah, she's done for, and everybody like hates on every remain that of her. And what are these people that backed up Brian Peck knowingly? All right, knowingly. Let me make this perfectly clear. One of those people were James Marsden, which is the Donut Lord in Sonic movie 1, 2, and 3. And essentially, James Marsden knowingly. That means he knew what was going on. He knew what the case was. The case, I'm pretty straightforward. Like, if you tell me, we need you to write a letter for a guy who raped or I don't know. I'm gonna try and stay away from using rape because it's a really strong word. But sexually, okay, let's back up. So, James Martin, like, say if somebody were to tell me to write a letter to back up a person that's sexually assaulted a 15-year-old, and mind you guys, here in the United States, 15 years old is, well, definitely a minor, right? So if somebody were to tell me, like, Migs, like, we need you to write a letter of support for a predator that sexually assaulted a 15-year-old boy, or else we're gonna fire you, Like, honestly, at that point, go ahead and fire me. Go ahead and fire me. Do what you gotta do. I mean, now it's 2024. We have cameras, we have TikTok, we have Instagram. I'm gonna expose the industry. I'm gonna say exactly who told me to do what and what the camera. Anyways, is dying. Sorry about that. Anyways, yeah, you can fire me. You can do what you gotta do. There's no way I'm gonna side for pedophilism or whatever you call it. Like, I don't stand for that. As I think anybody should, regardless what the consequences for that are gonna be, because think about it, like, it's not gonna be permanent. Because I will say the industry does side for pedophiles and things like that. However, in James Marsden's case, I really feel like he didn't need to do that at all. And he was one of the, I think, 49 people that sided for Brian Peck, and it was Drake Bell by himself. So I don't know. I thought the whole thing was pretty crazy. If you have not watched Quiet on Set, I highly recommend you do. Because that's going to give you a lot of context in this whole situation. Well, anyways, so moving forward, so that happened back in 2003. That's when James Marsden showed his support for Brian Peck, which was a child sexual assaulter, if that makes any sense. So fast forward to 2022, I think 2022 or 2023. That's when Information Discovery, which are the people that made Quiet on Set, they petitioned the courts to release the documents of support. And one of those documents were James Marsden supporting the fact that Brian Peck sexually assaulted a 15-year-old boy. And he knew, again, let me actually clarify this to make it perfectly set. So if you watch Quiet on Set or look up the information on Google, you will know that all of these actors, including James Marsden, knew exactly what was going on. They were there to side for a full-blown pedophile. And the only reason why they want people to believe that they didn't know back then is only because they want to seem innocent. They have an image to protect. And in James Marsden's case, he's staying quiet. He's not saying a single word or replying, despite the fact that his comments are still to this day unfiltered and everybody is talking about the situation. He's still quiet about this. Now, honestly, if he made like some sort of apology, it depends. If he like said that, yeah, you know what, I did that because I was gonna get fired if I didn't, then I think that's excusable. I'm not saying that's good or that's fair. I'm just saying that's more than excusable than what he's doing right now, which is staying entirely quiet. All right, so that honestly, like, there's a saying, it's like, it goes, actions speak louder than words, right? The fact that he's not saying anything speaks volumes, right? So, like, the fact that he's not replying or saying anything about this situation kind of tells me that something is going on, whether it's that bad or it's not even that bad. Something is definitely going on, and this can go many different ways, right? There could be a reason why he's not saying anything right now, because he's being threatened that he's gonna get fired if he says anything, or maybe I really don't want to go there, I doubt it, but maybe he's held at gunpoint, right? And if he says anything, then they're gonna go after him or like his family, stuff like that. Yeah, there might be like a deeper reason why he's not apologizing or saying anything about this situation. However, just know that Quiet on Set exposed everything, right? It exposed all of these actors. Now some of these actors are already dead, so like, people can say stuff about the actors, but they can't really do anything to them besides piss on their grave. But of course, to those actors that are still alive, some of them came out and apologized only because they care about their image, nothing else. But to me, like, what's done is done. They decided back then to write the letter of support to Brian Peck, and thinking that it wasn't going to be exposed eventually. But of course, now today it is exposed, and we know exactly who these people are. And James Marsden, the Donut Lord, is one of those people. Did I think he was going to get scrapped, by the way? Did I think he was going to get scrapped out of Sonic Movie 3? And honestly, no. Like, that's not going to happen. However, they are going to kill his character off in Sonic Movie 3. Now, was it because of this whole situation? Probably not. It was probably just gonna be in the story, but it is expected that his character is going to die off in Sonic Movie 3. A lot of people are saying that it's gonna be Shadow the Hedgehog that kills his character, but of course we will see when we cross that bridge. But I doubt it's because of the whole situation, the whole Drake Bell Brian Peck situation that's going on. And I understand for Drake Bell, it's lots of trauma, especially when these people are not apologizing or saying anything. I just think it takes massive balls to leave the comment section unfiltered after being caught doing something like that. If you go to James Marsden's Instagram profile, you'll see his comment section is you can comment anything you want. It is not blocked off. And I don't know if it's him that manages his Instagram. It's likely he has somebody that manages the Instagram for him, which I doubt, because he replied to a post by Sonic Movie, and it was a very personalized post. So I doubt. I'm pretty sure he reads the comments. Okay, we can't pretend like he doesn't. He definitely is aware of what's going on. But yeah, so James Marsden is like very just quiet. I think his quietness, speaks volumes, and it's not a good look. It's not a good look for him. For the movie, I mean, I think James Marsden, even though he's being paid by the movie, is still a separate product from the Sonic movies, even though he is, I guess, a big part of the movies. But of course, that is a separate element. So it's not like I'm gonna not watch the Sonic movie because of that. Even though I'm watching Sonic Movie 3 for free, I'm not paying for it. Still, I'm still gonna watch this movie. It's not like a moral thing where I'm not gonna watch it. I'm still gonna watch it. I'm still gonna be a Sonic fan. I'm not gonna let one, bad apple spoil the whole bunch for me, if that makes any sense. But yeah, we'll see what happens with the whole situation. The comments on James Marsden's Instagram are not looking pretty. Who knows how people will react when they see him on the big screen. And the only reason why I'm making this podcast and talking about this is because a lot of other people are talking about this as well, even though I personally thought that everybody forgot. Personally, I didn't forget. You can't really forget something intense like that. But a lot of people actually remembered, because we live in a time of cancel culture. We live in a time, again, where everybody has phones, TikTok, Instagram. And when this whole situation unfolded back in 2003, back then there was no TikTok, there was no Instagram, there was no phones like that, the smartphones. I think back then the main thing was MySpace, but of course only older millennials or adults were using that. And that really wasn't a news-driven platform. So a lot of people had no idea about what the whole situation back in 2003. But of course, now that it has been exposed in 2023 and 24, everybody is just in shock, and we kind of are freaking out, not knowing really what to do. But the whole situation. However, me personally, I mean, like I said, I'm still gonna watch this movie. I'm still going to like Sonic. James Marsden. That is really a shitty thing that he did. However, it doesn't really impact me on me liking Sonic, stuff like that. Still gonna like Sonic. I'm still gonna watch the Sonic movies and stuff like that. However, yeah, I mean, basically, James Marsden is, it's not looking good. It's not it's not looking good. But again, like me personally, I'd never ever will side for a child molester, pedophile, whatever you want to call it, even if that means saving my job or saving my position, status, whatever he was trying to save. Because that's what I'm assuming what happened. He probably, I mean, he's not apologizing, so it could be a lot worse than what I think happened. So here's what I think happened. He's a really big actor, right? So he has a lot of jobs, things like that. And back in 2003, there was no like cancel culture or TikTok or anything like that. So a lot of stuff that shouldn't fly under the radar back then. And chances are James Marsden was threatened to make the letter of support. And if he didn't make it, they were going to cut his status or position or his job. And he wrote the letter in support. Because to be fair, in James Marsden's defense, he was writing a lot about Brian Peck being on time and being punctual, which I think has nothing to do with him sexually assaulting Drake Bell. And again, Drake Bell is one of the many victims of Brian Peck, because Brian Peck was a experienced predator back since the 90s. And so that's what I think happened. So essentially, James Marsden was threatened his job. I just think it's a very, very odd that he's not saying a single thing about it today, even though he was basically caught in 4K. He's still not saying anything about the situation, and that kind of gets a lot of people worried or suspicious of this situation, because it's 2024, right? It's a lot different of a time than back then, 2003. Yeah, so I think the fact that he's staying quiet about this situation is very suspicious, and I think it's very I don't know, it raises a lot of questions. I'm not defending or I'm not going against James Marsden. However, I'm just like laying down the facts flat out for you guys, and letting you guys decide for what you believe. Again, I don't condone or stand for anything that has to do with child predators or child molestation, sexual assault. I don't stand for that, okay? So in that aspect, or in that standpoint, I think I have to go against James Marsden in this situation, because, you know, like, for me it's zero tolerance, right? Like, even if it's like a support for it, like, I even that is crossing the line. I don't even think verbally saying that it's cool or it's okay, like, that's already going way too far for me. And the camera is about to die, so I think I'm gonna plug it in real quick. Alright, everybody, so that camera just died. So we're going to lift off the podcast from just a single camera solo. So anyways, so where were we? So James Marsden, yeah, I think the fact that he's being very quiet about this situation, it's not a good look for him, because it makes him look like he is guilty of something, whether he's doing the same thing that people were accusing him for, or if he is simply, yeah, basically that's what it is. So of course, only time will tell if he knows what's going on. I'm pretty sure he knows what's going on, because I mean, it was all over the documentary. There are people that make videos about it. I've made several different videos about the situation, and a lot bigger content creators and YouTubers, as well as news reporters, have talked all about this situation. Now, I did read somewhere that the reason why James Marsden is not saying anything about it, because basically he is waiting for the whole thing to blow over, because he thinks that everybody loves him and whatnot. So he's relying on that to hopefully let the whole thing blow over. And he's basically waiting for people to stop talking about it. And he just got, I think, casted for a movie or TV show, or both actually. And he relied on that basically to hopefully have people forget about the whole situation, because it was on headlines that James Marsden supported Brian Peck. And basically with the casting of his new roles and whatnot, he thought that was going to cover up this situation. But honestly, like, I think the fact that people are having conversations about it again is the scary part for him, because for a while I was actually genuinely convinced that everybody forgot what happened. And he thought the same thing, right? So like, he was being casted for different roles, and people, or news presses, were talking about that. And people in the comments, see, this is what I mean when I say the Instagram comments or the internet comments always win. Who won this whole thing? The James Marsden, Brian Peck, or the comments, or the internet? And honestly, the internet strikes again, and the internet won again. And I'm sorry, the whole like camera dying on me like killed my vibe, so I'm trying like find my vibe again. But it was so James Marsden, that guy, he's cooked, to be honest. And honestly, I was never a fan of his character since the beginning. I really did not like most of the human characters. I think the only human characters I like are Eggman. Honestly, I mean, he's like a regular character, so like, how are you not gonna like him? And Agent Stone, so that essentially is the like sidekick, or like a partner that's with Eggman all the time. Which I might meet this December. I might meet the actor of Agent Stone. I forget his name, but I might meet him. Apparently, he's a really big Sonic fan, and he's gonna be at Sonic Expo, which I'm hoping to go, unless more things come up, because I had a lot of unfortunate circumstances, and we might not be going after all. But if we do go, we're gonna meet him in person, which I think is gonna be pretty cool. But anyways, James Marsden is I hate to break it to like people who really like the Donut Lord, but he supported a pedophile, man. I mean, straight up. I mean, there's no going around that, right? Like, a lot of people argue that he was young, and unless 30 years old is young, and I just don't know, then you might be right. And he was. A lot of people argue also that he didn't know anything. He knew, straight up. He knew. If you watch Quan On Set, if you read the whole situation on a news article or something, you will know that he knew, straight up. He knew what was going on. He knew what Brian Peck did, and he sided for him, basically, right? And again, like, it's all perspective. So, in my perspective, I personally, no matter what, I will never ever side for somebody like that, ever, because I think also I knew what went on. So these actors thought that they were never going to get caught up. They thought nobody was never going to know, because the courts back in 2003, when this whole thing unfolded, they sealed the documents of support, meaning the general public, you and I, as well as news presses, didn't have access to any of that information. The only reason why they got unsealed in 2023 is because information discovery, investigation discovery, are the makers of 𝐻𝐻 voted to have those letters of support unsealed by the courts, and that was done. So that basically exposed like all those actors that supported a pedophile, Brian Peck. And yeah, man, it's all perspective, of course. Like in the comments, leave us down below what you think about the whole situation. Do you think it's wrong? Do you think it's right? I'm hoping nobody thinks it's right, because like it's not right. But yeah, let us know in the comments what all your thoughts are about the situation. The only thing I do ask is everybody keep it clean and keep it respectful against each other. No bullying, no harassment, none of that stuff. And yeah, man, like that's the whole thing. So essentially, this podcast, I'm trying to like retrace my steps to see where I was going with this. But essentially, Brian Peck was. I mean, I'm tired of saying that name, man. I've said that like all night long at this point. Actually, for like 30 minutes. But yeah, I mean, pause. But yeah, there's no excusing what James Marsden did, and the fact that he's quiet. I think that's very wrong, and still to this day, at the time of this recording, still has not apologized or even mentioned the situation. And by the way, James Marsden, if you are watching for whatever reason, I would say apologize, man. Like, just do it. Everybody's asking for it. Everybody's doing or talking about it. And what I think happened to Drake Bell, and honestly to all of the other people that were predator or praise of Brian Peck, those people suffered. Those people like went through it. You know, just think about, put it in perspective. Like, what if you were 15 years old and you got sexually assaulted by a 40-year-old man, which, by the way, that's what happened, and that's what James supported. You know, put yourself in that position, or don't think about it, I guess, but like, you know, if that were you, you would be like in pain, you would be crying, you would be traumatized. And that's what I think all these people were, especially that Brian Peck was a monster on the loose, and he really was a monster on the loose. And James Marsden contributed to Brian Peck's freedom. So honestly, if you put it that way, it's kind of fucked up if you think about it. But essentially, Brian Peck was very protected, so he was basically a free man after being caught doing that. So what happened was he sexually assaulted Drake Bell at 15-year-old Drake Bell, right? A minor here in the United States. That is a minor, by the way. And he was caught for it only because Drake Bell was like, I think, at his girlfriend's mom's house, and she was I think Brian Peck was like blowing up Drake Bell's phone, and she was suspicious of it. Like, no 40-year-old man calls a 15-year-old boy's number that many times. And then that's when he fessed up to like his girlfriend's mom that he was sexually assaulted multiple times by Brian Peck. And then that's when he called the police, and they were like on a recorded line, and he admitted to the whole, or he snitched, or not snitched, but it's not even snitching at that point, but like he told them what happened, right? And yeah, so Brian Peck was caught and arrested, thrown in jail, and then that's when the trial happened. I'm not too sure when all this happened. I don't remember that too much. So yeah, he went on trial for sexually assaulting multiple times Drake Bell. And again, the only reason why he was even caught in the first place with Drake Bell, because Drake Bell was a famous child actor that was very popular, so it was widely talked about, stuff like that. And even then, because again, Brian Peck was an experienced child predator ever since the 90s. So who knows how many targets he has, sexually assaulted. There's speculation that he's done plenty. I don't even want to talk about it, but excuse me. So Drake Bell was so as soon as they admitted, of course, picked up Brian Peck, went to jail, and then he was tried in court. And that's when the whole actors, including James Marsden, stepped in, and then they supported Brian Peck. So they fronted for him. They wrote letters from the bottom of their hearts supporting Brian Peck, saying that it was Drake's fault, that 15-year-old Drake's fault, that he was sexually assaulted. So basically, James Marsden and all of these actors were trying their best to make it seem like it was 15-year-old Drake Bell's fault that he got sexually assaulted by 40-year-old man Brian Peck. And they were talking about some stuff about him, Brian Peck, being a victim of jailbait, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. Who would even think to say that? But yeah, so like all these actors were, as soon as everybody found out about it in 2023 when Quiet on Set came out, these actors were slandered and canceled, which I absolutely love, because that shows how unified people can be on a certain situation. Instead of just sitting back and taking it, they're actually being vocal about something and showing what's right and standing for what's right. And yeah, I mean, again, like some of these actors apologize for what they did, even though you can't really apologize for what you did, because like that's crazy. Like who from the bottom of their heart supports a pedophile like that? Like, to me, that's just not cool at all, and that's just disgusting, to be honest, because that kind of like shows what I would do. Like if you stand for something and to that degree and not apologize for it, that kind of shows that you would do it yourself. And to be, again, like these actors knew what they were supporting. A lot of people argue that they didn't know, and these actors want you to believe that they didn't know, but they knew exactly what they were getting into, and they thought they would never be exposed or caught. Come 2023, 2024, they were exposed, and it is very bad for them now. But yeah, they knew. They just want you to think that they didn't know so they can cover their tracks and seem innocent, because their precious image, they don't want to ruin their right, because they're actors. They play in movies, so if they have a bad taste in people's mouths, people are going to not boycott the movies, but they're going to see the actor and be like, okay, well, why is this guy on the screen? You know what I'm saying? But of course, let us know down below in the comments, what you believe about the situation. I think it's really bad, but of course, like, it is what it is. It happened already, and I feel like us, the people, shouldn't ignore what happened, because these people are going to continue to do stuff like that. And if people don't say anything about it, they're going to continue to do stuff like that. And it's just not healthy for especially child actors, different people in the industry. So yeah, I feel like it's really important that we have these conversations and we show this reluctant or this feedback about the situation, because yeah, I mean that's basically it. At that point, I'm just yapping, rambling, or whatever. But yeah, that was today's podcast. I really would love to get more deep into the whole situation. I did make a documentary talking, or a mini documentary talking about the situation of Brian Peck and James Marsden, him being one of the many actors that supported his actions knowingly. But my camera died, the vibes are off. So yeah, thank every one of you guys for watching today's podcast. I wanted to get one out for this week, which looks like I did, thankfully. So we will see you guys on the next video or live stream. Again, definitely subscribe to the Hogcast as well as our main channel at 𝐼𝐧𝐬. It's no longer 𝐼𝐧𝐬𝑥𝑥, we're now 𝐼𝐧𝐬. Definitely subscribe. And any sponsorships, we'll leave or brands or business inquiries, we'll leave our email down below in the description to hit us up for business inquiries. And without further ado, we will see you guys on the next video or live stream or podcast.